Hey guys, welcome to the STR Growth Show. We are welcomed here by Cam and Jeremy. I'm super excited to talk to you guys. So you guys weren't business partners at first. Cameron was actually had a portfolio of around 10 to 15 homes in Yosemite area and maybe a little bit of Tahoe if I remember correctly. And he was growing his portfolio and he really wanted to make an acquisition. And Jeremy came to Cam with an acquisition to potentially acquire a property management company in Tahoe. And since then, they've joined forces together and took down the acquisition. And they're sitting at 140 doors almost overnight with the new acquisition. So huge things, a lot of things happened, a lot of learnings. They're still in the trenches of this acquisition that happened merely, I think, 1 or 2 months ago, if I remember correctly. But today they're going to talk all things acquisition before, during, and hopefully a little bit after in some facets. So without further ado, guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Patrick. We're stoked to be here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for having
awesome.
us, man.
Yeah, I want to, Jeremy, talk a little bit about how you got into the space. I know you've been looking for an acquisition to take down for a while, and how Cam and how that all unfolded with the acquisition.
Yeah, so it's funny. So we actually met probably 4.5 years ago at a real estate meetup, and we were both into real estate a little bit. I think we both had one long-term rental, and we were pivoting into the short-term rental space and had known each other for a little while. And I came to Cameron actually with a house over in Yosemite and was half joking and asked if he wanted to partner on it. And we ended up partnering on that, what, 4 years ago now?
Yeah, something like
I
that.
think
End
it's
of
been.
22.
Yeah. And pretty much everything that could go wrong with that cabin went wrong. We had floods, we had people get snowed in, decks collapse, all sorts of things. So that was a good trial run before partnering on this, I'd say.
Nice. And how it's when you partner with somebody, it's a relationship and it's almost like a marriage. So how did you guys notice how you guys handled problems were was very similar? Like how did you guys realize that you guys could be good partners in the future?
I think we both got similar values and we both got a lot of grit and resilience. I think that's the big thing. We both handle, I think, issues similarly, but also differently, depending on the situation. But we both have grit and resilience and we just figure it out. We know everything's figure outable.
Yeah, there was never any finger pointing. Something would go wrong, and it was never like, well, you did this or you did that. It was just like, what's the solution and how do we move forward?
The
Yeah.
emotions are taken out of it in a lot of ways, right? It's all right, how do we solve this problem? So that's cool. Awesome. And then Cam, how did you get into short-term rentals? How did you end up here?
Let's say my wife and I bought our first house. We rented it by the room. So we house hacked that. And this is in 2020. And so the next lowest down payment thing we could buy was a short term rental. So we bought a short term rental with 10% down at a 3% interest rate. And that was like in 21. And then we bought our second one with Jeremy in 22. And then I decided to want to manage in 23. Started doing that full time.
Awesome. What kind of got you into the hospitality world? Because obviously you weren't thinking, oh, I'm in a hospitality, I'm a hospitality professional. You just stumbled into it, right? So what made you excited to want to manage for other people?
Well, honestly, when I was first looking, I knew I wanted to get out of my W-2. I was looking for a
Mm,
different change. And I was like, what am I already doing? I want to do something in real estate. And I was like, the best thing I can do is just pick something and commit to it. And so I picked co-hosting at that time. I think this was April of 23 and just kind of leaned into it. We were already doing it for a couple of homes. And my grandma used to own a motel. So she had about a 40 door hotel for a long time. And so I kind of grew up in hospitality as a kid, delivering towels, etc.
yeah, that
And so
makes
just took
sense.
the leap.
So I know, Jeremy, you were the one that found the deal and you presented it to Cam. Can you walk us through kind of how you went about finding this deal in Tahoe to begin with? And I want to preface this also. There's a lot of M&A happening right now. And so people are always looking for deals. And what's crazy is you're competing with private equity in some ways. So I'm curious how you guys went about that. And have you guys gotten deals? Maybe Jeremy, you've gotten deals stripped away from you because private equity stepped in or something like that. I'm curious, like, how was your search just in general?
Yeah, so I wasn't actually looking for anything in the management industry. I was looking primarily in the construction space and was looking for about a year and a half. Came across this deal just in my daily search, looking at all the different brokerage websites, and sent it over to Cameron because I knew he was looking to expand. And kind of one thing led to another. He said, "Hey, man, this is a pretty big deal. Do you want to partner on it?" And yeah, 4 or 5 months later after diligence, here we are.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so, as you guys kind of thought about the deal, have you seen would private equity touch that deal? I'm just curious. What's the thought
No.
process there? Okay, yeah. So that's kind of why I wanted to ask. Why not? What was so special about this deal that private equity wasn't bidding on this deal? And yeah,
We
It,
bought something with a lot of room for growth, right? A lot of room for improvements, operationally, et cetera. And so we took a swing on, hey, these properties are underperforming. We can help these owners out, make more money. That, and then also just financing was really tough. So I just think it was a bigger lift than what some of these bigger players are looking for. It wasn't really a plug and play.
got it. So bigger lift, what does that mean? What can you maybe walk through some of the things you noticed as you guys were doing your due diligence on this deal?
Lots of cleanup with books, et cetera. Contracts weren't assignable at that time. You name it. There was a lot of different things. It just made it a lot tougher to work through, I think, and we paid for it in the due diligence costs.
There you go. And so what about financially? How are the books? Because I know that's one of the
there were accounts that hadn't been reconciled since 2022. So there was a lot of cleanup needed. And we knew as we were going through diligence, we brought on a quality of earnings professional, had him help us with the books.
Can you explain quality of earnings just for the people that don't know?
Yeah, so essentially they're like a forensic accountant. Really, they focus on M&A, and so they're really doing a deep dive into your books, making sure that everything matches and that what you think you're buying is what you're actually buying. And so they help out with confidence before you close on the deal so that I guess you just feel a little bit better with the numbers. And so the quality of earnings team had advised us, hey, your books are pretty messy. You're going to have to look into this. There's some issues here. And also our attorney said the same thing as well as our CPA. So we knew what we were getting into. And going back to one of the earlier things you asked about being worried about private equity getting into the space or the competition there, we had a feeling that the broker was probably shopping this deal around to other players in the industry and they'd probably already passed up on it, which is why we got it. But at some point you got to take the risk, and bringing on professionals like that helped us get comfortable with the risk.
Yeah, I could see that, right? Like, how do you know that you're not just buying something that's going to have no worth, right? That's like the fear that people have. So what gave you more confidence in that there's worth here for this company?
One, we didn't purchase it on an EBITDA multiple. We purchased it on a contract value. And we were able to work with the seller and found that what they were looking for and then what made sense to us. And so I think we were able to buy down some of that risk on our end, such as like we don't have a holdback currently. But other than that, it just looked like there was so much room with small improvements that we saw massive revenue opportunities here and increases. And we're already seeing that. We were up 20% in nightly rate in May, and we're up another 30%, or in June, and then 30 something percent in July. So we were already seeing that. Our only change was adding a revenue manager and updating the listings and photo captions and just the small things.
Yeah, I think we're able to attack it from both ends. Like Cameron said, there was a lot of upside and just optimizing things. But then on the other side, there's a ton of expenses and overhead that could be cut. We have about 5 offices around the lake. And as an example, one of the offices, there's 3 suites at one side and only one person over there occasionally. So it's a 46-year-old business. There's a lot of areas we can cut. We like to joke that we're measuring our wealth in commercial printers now because we have about 7 of them.
So if you need a printer, hit us up.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. What were they using the commercial printers for? Was that in the asset list when you guys bought it?
I think it was. There's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
included in the asset list, but we have hundreds of boxes of paper.
You might own something that you don't even know you own.
Yeah, we'll find out as we're going through it. Right now, we're just moving to our new office, which should be done this week.
Yeah.
So that's a big change for us. But yeah, there was a ton of paper. We were doing paper checks. We were scanning stuff. We still have owners come in and we scan stuff for them so they can, or print stuff for them, make copies, which is fine. So we're going to keep one of the printers, but everything was nothing was digitized. It's 46 years old.
Wow. Okay. So some paperwork could be in a file cabinet with hundreds of other files, which I think can be really interesting. But I'm curious. Okay, so you have this business that has obviously a lot of room. It's too big of a lift for private equity, right? It's maybe too big of a lift for a lot of people. A lot of them maybe passed up on this deal. They probably knew about the deal too. Now that's where the opportunity lies, and I think that's really great for people that are listening. That the opportunity, there's gold to be found in things that might not look like it on the surface, and there's opportunities if you're willing to spend the time and energy to do it. And you guys are spending the time and energy. You guys, I'm assuming you guys are in Tahoe right now.
Yep.
Yep, we're at one of the
Yeah.
houses. We rented it for the month.
There you go. Now, thinking about that, let me maybe walk me through, going back when you guys first got into everything, and I'm sure there's hundreds of things that you guys are thinking about. What have you seen as priorities getting into the weeds? What are some shocking things that you guys found? Walk us through kind of the whole getting into the business. You guys decide to uplift part of your lives and head to Tahoe. Tell me what's kind of going through your head at the moment.
I think we learned a lot of improvements we could have made during due diligence, especially since the company was so much bigger than the other company that we're like, we're not going to drag them into our systems. And this company we do 30% direct bookings. So we want to keep that brand. We have people that have been staying us for 25 years in a row, every single summer. So we have a completely different demographic where we needed to keep their systems. And so we just assumed things like, hey, they have automated messaging. Hey, a lot of these things, rental and ID collection is all rental agreement and ID collection is very straightforward. But some of that stuff isn't. So that's stuff that we were like, oh, we just assumed that there were some improvements we could make. And now we're like, okay, we've got to actually do this. So we had our guest experience people manually sending check-in instructions every day for 40 to 60 check-ins on a Thursday or Friday when we got here. So I think that was one of the biggest surprises and something we've definitely improved over the summer. And we're still making improvements there. And we're onboarding a new software to help with, damage waivers and that kind of stuff as well.
I think something else too. So I'm focused on maintenance and operations right now. And going back to the company operating in an old school way, they're still using paper receipts. The maintenance guys are coming by the office to turn in paper receipts. And a lot of times they're weeks behind. And so I think there's a lot of improvement there where maybe receipts aren't being attributed to the right property or they're not being accounted for. We implemented Top Key. To try and help the guys out with that. That's been a big push.
How is it for adoption of tech, right? They're doing the same thing for 30 years. And why would they want to change today? I'm just curious. Have you seen pushback? Like, how's the people aspect of things been?
I think we planned to we were like, hey, let's wait till after summer. Let's just sit in it for the first 90 days and see how we can help. And we got in there and went, okay, we're going to change some stuff. So there have been some software changes. We've onboarded Conduit. We're onboarding SuiteOp. We onboarded Top Key. But I think the team overall, there's been a little bit of pushback, but I think as people start to get used to it, they're like, okay, this is actually making our lives better and making things easier for us. And another shocking thing I think we figured out, was like, hey, we aren't using priorities in Breezeway. Everything's just medium priority. So if there's a broken window screen and if there's a house leaking underneath the sink, it's both medium. So it's hard for maintenance guys to know what to prioritize. So it's been a lot of those little things. They're like, okay, we can make some small improvements and hopefully they have a much bigger impact.
I love that. And with tech, you guys are freeing up time, which allows the team members to do more, right? And allows them to think more proactively versus reactively, for example, and build a hospitality company.
And we've been fortunate too. Three of our new hires were already familiar with the new software, or they were very, very competent. So they've run with it. They've trained people right away. When we onboarded Conduit, one of the new virtual assistants we hired, she was like, oh yeah, I already worked with this. I can show people.
Oh, nice.
So she's immediately helping people with things.
It's amazing. So the admin team, did you guys hire that admin team?
We've brought on, four admins so far. And we're looking to bring on another one.
Wow. 5 admin team.
And then 3 stateside employees too. So they were running 2 inspectors over 130 properties. So bringing on a few more inspectors as well.
So you guys are bringing on more expenses. That scare you at all that you guys are bringing on all these additional expenses to a company that is already, heavy on expenses? I'm just curious your thought.
So I think there's so much cost to cut. If I look at our reoccurring softwares, we have a DocuSign that we're paying $70 for. We have Adobe. We have a third Adobe. We've got all these different things that we're able to cut. So we do have some expenses we're cutting, and some of them have to do with contracts we have with other softwares or whatever that is. But we're increasing revenue, but we know that if we don't have the quality standards we need, there's lifetime consequences for those properties and those units where we're not Superhost. So we're going to be seen less, or owners won't work with us because we're not. Or they get bad reviews, they're not booked as much, they earn less revenue, which costs us money as well. So I think we're at a position where we're like, hey, we have a plan. We know we want to get to. It's obviously going to say, hey, we need to grow now. But I think we're on the right path. And I think a lot of our units we can get enough value out of them to cover these new expenses. And we have enough savings to counteract them.
I'm just posing the question, but I'm a big believer in investing in great talent, right? You have the best talent in the team. They help push you to the next place, and it's gold, right? It's worth it 100%. How are you guys hiring right now? Like, how are you guys positioning what you guys need and what you guys don't need? Just walk me through the people aspect of things.
So we built out an accountability chart. Before we even closed in the business, Jeremy and I hired an EOS implementer. So we've been working with them, and we know our immediate concern now is we need inspectors. So we're hiring those. Then we do plan on hiring some higher level management positions afterwards. But we need more people to get into these homes to get us better data, because having software or a bunch of team members, if we don't have the information about the units, it doesn't do anybody any good. We can't answer questions for guests. We can't put it in the guidebooks. It's useless.
Yeah.
So our main priority has been that, and then one more stateside guest experience person to help out and fill in on evenings and weekends and when we have other people out.
So can you explain to the people that don't know what EOS is?
Yeah, so there's a book called Traction, and really we hired a coach like Cameron mentioned, but instead of playing whack-a-mole and putting fires out every day, which is what you find yourself doing sometimes as a business owner, it pulls you out of that day-to-day. You meet with a coach and you spend a day or two really working on the business as opposed to in the business. I'm spacing. What's EOS? Is entrepreneurial organizational system?
Or operational system?
Operating system.
Operating
operating
So
system, yeah.
it's just a framework on how to run your business. And so it really prioritizes having the right people in the right seats and having accountability for each of those people, and have people show up and bring that accountability. And it helps you lay out core values and what your goals are for the year and your vision for the company for the next 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, whatever targets you want to have. And hopefully you start to have a culture where everybody's on the same page and everybody wants the same thing. And everybody moves together because they know that Patrick's in charge of X. And if they have a damage question or a claim question, they just talk to Patrick. It's not 3 people in charge of it, and there's no one to be held accountable for it.
Do you think it was worth it to do the EOS implementation aspect of things?
Yes, so far. We're actually just rolling it out with our leadership team. Tomorrow we have our 8-hour quarterly meeting with her in person at our new office. So it's just been me and Jeremy. We've done 3 days with her so far, which was great because we worked through a bunch of our core values and stuff since we weren't partners yet. So it worked out a whole bunch of things there and what we saw for visions of the company.
Can you share maybe a little bit about the core values that you guys found out about that? Yeah.
I think the first one was get shit done, and I think we changed it to make it happen. A little more
okay,
PC.
That's a little more friendly.
Yeah, exactly. But just make it happen for the guest, for the homeowner, whatever it takes, just going above and beyond. So that was probably the most important one.
Do you guys not remember your core values?
We're still working through them, man.
Look at you.
We'll actually go over them tomorrow.
I'm joking.
But we have, we have genuine connections, another one, raise the standard.
Oh, nice.
I think we have 5 total.
Nice.
I was actually just looking at them this morning because I had to send them over to Better Talent. So we're going to review them. We have a call with them later today.
Nice. Yeah, Better Talent helps with hiring employees, just for reference. Cool. Okay. The EOS has been working. You haven't brought your team in on it yet. Core values, great. You have a new office opening. Obviously, there's a lot of things still going on. I think there's so many things that you guys are probably going to learn in the next 3 months. But so far, what are some of the big things you guys have learned as part of this new acquisition? I'm just curious, what are the big findings and learnings you guys had?
There's just been a ton. I think a big thing that we learned is that no matter how big a company is, there's still issues, right? It's not like all of a sudden someone gets to this unit size and they're like a completely well-oiled machine. Just because they have a lot more units than you and they're bigger, doesn't mean they run better. And so I think they just mean, hey, there's opportunity. Everyone's going through a lot of the struggles. They're just magnified a little bit differently. The other thing is us trying to prioritize I think we've learned, hey, we've got to figure out what the most important thing is. And our core values are important, but since we haven't rolled out EOS to our leadership team, it's not the highest priority thing. Working through them was great, but we'll probably start reviewing them on a monthly or weekly basis with our leadership team starting next week once we go through this quarterly call. But man, so much stuff.
There's just a lot, right? But maybe start with y'all. You guys have been working on how do you guys divide and conquer what tasks to focus on? What is a priority? How do you guys divide each other's roles in the business relationship?
that was all worked through with EOS. So we sat down and we put each other in seats on what seats we think we need for our leadership team, et cetera. Then me and Jeremy took those seats. And then obviously there's admin stuff, right? And technically I'm sitting in the finance and HR portion, but Jeremy during due diligence and after was setting up all our insurances. So he was like, hey, I'll just spearhead getting HR set up. And so there's things like that where there's crossover,
Overlap.
but for the most part, we've been like, Jeremy's interviewing people for a position. I'm like, go for it, man. You got it. I trust your judgment. So we're trying to make sure at first we were like, hey, let's be in all the meetings. We're like, we don't have time to do that. We've got to figure out what the most important thing is and just let each other run. And then if we have crossover, we can hop in and ask about it. So we do a weekly sync with just the two of us every week as well for an hour.
So do you guys work well independently?
I would say so. I think we both have enough trust, though. We've been partners for long enough that we've gained the trust of one another, but we talk 10 times a day, it feels like. And we're trying to limit that, but it seems like there's always another big thing that comes up that you want to call your buddy for to talk about real quick. So we're getting better with that.
Because you guys are what's great about building a business together is you guys, and I talk about this with Josh too, right? Josh and I, yes, do we call each other when I hear some news about what's happening with a client or something? Yeah, absolutely. I give him a call sometimes just to catch up with him because I want to give him the news, right? And it's fun. It makes it more enjoyable. Truthfully, it's not as efficient. I do understand that. But I think that you have to find joy in the fact that you are in the same boat as somebody else. And if the boat's sinking, then you're sinking with the other person. So it's, at least you're just like, at least I'm not dying alone, right? At least I'm going through this with someone else. So I think that's at least my mentality going into this. I think it's nice to have somebody there with you in those moments. And it's going to be something you guys are going to talk about for years after, because you just get stories, a lot of really great stories, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
So, So
go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. I was gonna ask. So you guys just divide and conquer depending on your skill sets. You guys have the seats assigned to you in the roles and responsibilities depending on EOS, and that's how you guys divide and conquer everything.
For the most part, before we had purchased the business, we were filling out the roles and responsibilities, and we each had our own seat. So I was in the sales and marketing, Cameron was in HR and finance, and we had our general manager in the operations bucket. And then as we got in, we saw that operations needed some help. So I was taking on a lot of the admin and finance in the beginning, just with all the legal and everything that comes with purchasing a new business. Cameron had stepped into the operations, and now it feels like we're both pretty heavy in the operations. Put a pause on growth. We're still growing organically, but it's not a main focus right now. And then Cameron, of course, is still heavily involved in the finance portion of the business. That's what it looks like right now.
Who's talking to clients?
We're moving that to Jeremy currently. You're talking about new leads?
New leads, but also existing owners.
Yeah, the owners reach out to our general manager a lot. And most of the owners we've talked to really like the general manager and our operations manager. They're like, oh, they're great. And they're super helpful and nice. And so they actually reach out to them quite a bit. And so they handle a lot of those conversations. And then Jeremy's been trying to step in and help with that. So our general manager can focus more on the things that are highest priority.
Yeah. What's the highest priority stuff that your general manager, what's the team mobilized on? Are they excited about this new growth? Like, where's everyone at? What are they working on?
Oh yeah, from an operations standpoint, like our big focus has been like, hey, we need to regain Superhost status as a company. They haven't had it. So that's what we pushed everyone towards. So it's cleanliness, maintenance, and reviews are like our large focus as a whole. But then outside of that, there's just different projects people are working on, like our admin team. Like we have a guy named Alex who's been fantastic, and he helped roll out Conduit. He helped roll out like the streamlined automated messaging. He's helping roll out SuiteOp, and we have someone else we put in charge of managing all the reviews and responses and making sure that we're taking action on if a review comes in as 3 stars about something about maintenance. Hey, that turns into a breezeway task and we get it done before the next guest checks in.
Yeah. Nice. And then general managers, are they also operation manager and general manager? Are they on board with everything you guys are pushing?
I think they are. I think they know that this change needed to happen. And so it's a constant trying to dot or make a line between, we know that you're working hard right now and we're changing things on you, but the reason we're doing it is so it helps the business and eventually it's going to help you in the future. So it's a constant reframing of just letting them know, hey, this is going to be a benefit in the long run. And I think they're on board. They get it and they're excited for it. We've also rolled out bonuses for everyone as well.
Nice.
So a little more motivation to adopt the new tech.
What kind of bonus structure you guys think put together? Because
We
that's
did
great
it
incentive.
KPI based. So we had, hey, if we can get Superhost status by this date, everybody gets X
Oh
on the
wow.
team. So we wanted to get in there and be like, hey, let's make some changes, let's get everybody excited, and then we'll roll out some additional structures, whether it's KPI based or employee of the month, stuff like that. So we want to lean heavily on incentives.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big thing that I've noticed multiple operators take into consideration that we haven't even done. That's something that we should probably look into at our organization. It's just it gets people motivated to just reach a common goal beyond just the idea of the goal. Because I do see a little bit like, and I understand, right? Like we grow fast, right? And we'll add units, and the team gets like they don't get excited about it as much. They're just like, oh wow, wow, I'm so blessed with this new property I got to onboard and do extra work. This is so great. Versus if you had the incentives in line, they're like kind of excited about the growth too. Be like, oh yeah, let's do it. Like for example, we lose a property, it happens, they decide to sell, and the team's like, oh, thank God. I'm so happy. Like that owner was a pain in the butt, or not, maybe not a pain in the butt, but that house sucked. Versus if we have a retention bonus, be like, oh shucks, like that sucks. Like it stings a little versus not, right? So I'm thinking incentives are probably a pretty smart thing to do.
We've learned too with the incentives, like people just aren't motivated by money alone, right? So like maybe it's ego. So maybe that has to do with a position or a title they get. Maybe it's time freedom and flexibility, or maybe it is money. I think for a lot of people, they are money motivated, but it's been interesting in talking to different employees to hear what really motivates them and then trying to make sure that everything's in line to help them get that.
Yeah, it's funny because some employees of mine will say they're not motivated by money, but they are very much motivated by money. I could
Yeah.
tell. They're like, "Oh yeah, it's just about this and this," and I'm like, "You do enjoy the money too," and I get it. Like, I'm not judging you on that. I think that's a good thing. You should be, but I think sometimes people don't know 100% what they're motivated by. As my point, I've realized that sometimes I have to like what I realized, and I read a book on motivation, but what I've realized is everybody wants three things. I forgot all three of those things, but one of those things is purpose, right? You don't want to come to work and not have purpose. Two is financial stability, right? Just being able to not have to worry about money. That's a big one. And then the third thing was growth. But with growth, you need to have a feedback loop. That was like really smart. When I heard that, I was like, oh, it makes sense. Like when you watch TV, it's a one-way stream of communication. That's why people can't really watch TV for prolonged hour amount of hours. You can, but it gets less engaging for your brain because you're not getting feedback on how you can make things better. Like video games, for example, you get feedback. Like
Mm.
you play Mario, for example, and you die at that one spot, and you're like, this time I'm going to do this differently. And then you get past that spot, you get a dopamine hit, right? So because there's the growth aspect. So that's are you allowing your employees to grow into something? Is there purpose in the company? Do they feel like they're serving guests and serving owners and feel like they're doing something bigger than themselves? Do you have feedback loops in your business where do you have quarterly or biannually reevaluate people's performance and see ways that they can improve? Coach them, let them grow so that they feel like it's like a not like a video game in all ways, but I can grow as a person. What I've also realized is that people I'm just kind of spitting off a little, but people love growth. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I've never heard of somebody say, yeah, I'm just gonna stay where I'm at and not. Nobody says that. People are like they're growing in some aspect of their life because growth is a condition of human. I think it's a condition of being human. Being human is to grow, and it's a hamster wheel. And we're constantly in this hamster wheel of constantly growing until there's no more growth left, and we find another hamster wheel to go on. You know what I mean? So, anyways, that's my philosophy TED talk of today. But how have you guys have you guys seen the same thing with your employees and growth? I'm curious how that all plays a role in you guys.
I think that's something we're working towards with the other company. We've done that. We've tried to identify what their goals are and their visions are. Because I think that's
Hmm.
the whole point is if you can fit somebody else's vision inside of your vision, then you can help them get there and they're going to be inclined to be along for the ride with you. But so yeah, there's small things we figured out with the other company, but we're still working through that. We're trying to figure out what people want out of life and see how we can help them get there.
Yeah, you said other company. Can you maybe talk a little bit about because you had a company before you entered into this deal? How's that? How are you guys separating tasks? Are you guys merging the systems? Like, how is that working?
So that's a big thing we're working on, but part of our language, we've called everything slow season shit. Like
Yeah.
we haven't merged everything. So Jeremy and I are actually actively involved in the day to day. So we have a stand up normally at 8 a.m. every morning for 15 minutes that we just run real quick, a weekly meeting. We're both pretty involved over there. But yeah, that's about 18 units, 15 properties. We've got a couple of a house that has 3 houses on it it'll do like 1.8 million in gross bookings or so, maybe a little more,
Nice.
probably closer to 2. So it's a little more of a luxury sized unit count. It's a small team. We've got 3 VAs and a local person that helps with a bunch of stuff for us and contractors. And we've just been plugging away, and we've had better revenue than last year with our revenue manager, and we've had similar review scores. So it's been a win-win.
Yeah, that one's there in Yosemite, so about 3 hours away from the Tahoe market. And that's the one interesting point or part is that we're over here with the Tahoe company. We've got general managers, operational managers. And so we're not hearing about a leaky toilet, right? It's more business strategy up here. Whereas the Yosemite company, we're, like Cameron said, definitely involved in the day to day. So it's funny going from one
Yeah.
company to another on an hourly basis and just seeing the difference.
And we do plan on merging everything together. We just haven't figured it out. And it's hard because this company is Tahoe based in name. And like I said, they've been around forever. The seller was very prominent in VRMA. And we want to keep the name, but it's interesting to say, how are we going to market this in Yosemite? How do we merge these together?
Yeah. That is a interesting perspective, and it's funny how you're probably dealing with leaky toilets in Yosemite, but you could still get area managers and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? You just have an area manager there; they take care of all that. But I
That's
mean,
a quarterly rock for us this quarter. By the
yeah,
end of September is to hire that position.
yeah, yeah,
The one nice thing too about that company being a little smaller, Cameron has done a great job in building out SOPs and really high standards over there at that company. So we've been able to bring a lot of those systems and processes over to this bigger company, which has been pretty cool. That's kind of the sandbox. We know something
yeah.
works well, then we implement it at the bigger company.
Probably, even though it's more involved, it's probably a lot more efficient knowing Cam, you're working day in, day out, building system. You were so system oriented at that company. I know that talking to you, even, it's just you had time to really dial it in versus this is 30 years of issues piling up and you guys are dealing with it in months, right? So it's a different beast.
I think shining or hiring virtual assistants shines a light on your gaps for where your systems and processes are lacking, right? Because if you're here, some of the stateside employees, they've been to the houses and they can just ask the general manager or the inspector, hey, this house, where's the lockbox? It doesn't necessarily need to be photographed and sitting in Google Drive somewhere, whereas they just don't have that luxury. So it's when we onboarded some of them, they're like, hey, we need this information. And it's been good. They tell us what they need. And we're working on that piece, but
Yeah. So
been good.
what's kind of the future outlook? What are you guys working on now? What is the future outlook of what you guys are building? What is the goal? Walk me through. Yeah.
And our future outlook is we're hoping to cross 10 million in bookings by the end of the year between the two companies. But our future outlook is, I think, to get to 30 million in bookings, gross booking value in the next 3 years.
Nice. Huge. And to get there, I understand the big vision goal, but what are you guys working on in the near future to really establish that growth? Yeah, that trajectory. What's your game plan?
Right now, it's dialing in our operations, hiring the right people for the right seats, and then focusing it on sales and hopefully some more acquisitions.
Yeah. Are you guys excited about the sales part? Are you guys ready to get out of ops?
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely am.
Yeah, that's fun. Cool. Thank you guys for kind of shining light on everything. And I'm just going to tie this up with a nice little bow here and maybe kind of ask you guys a few things before we tidy up the whole episode. But is there any kind of resource that you thought was instrumental to help you get to this point, especially when it comes to allowing you to learn about how to do all this stuff? Anything in particular that's been good?
Jeremy and I are both really been into self-development. We've both been in STR Secrets, and then I've been obviously in your mastermind, and then Jeremy was in another mastermind about acquiring businesses. So I really think all three of those things have been instrumental in helping us understand deals, having peers look at it, and then also helping us build systems in our business. So
Okay.
big component of self-development and getting around other people that are doing what you want to do and are usually a few steps ahead of you.
Yeah, I'm all about paying money to take a shortcut, right? You've been huge. Appreciate all your help here. And then also going to the VRMA was awesome. Just being around some other big
You
operators.
guys did go to the VRMA Executive Summit. That's a big one. I heard it's really good.
2 days after we closed.
Yeah. So you guys mentioned you guys learned so much just even picking the brains of the people that were in that room at the summit, right? So it's
yeah, there's a lot of good people there and a lot of people that knew the seller and were happy to ask us a bunch of questions and to provide feedback or advice whenever we needed it. So it's been great.
That's awesome. And then for the people that maybe are listening to this podcast and want to get in touch with you just to learn how you guys did it, what you guys are up to, how can they reach you guys?
At Instagram, I'm Cameron.masters_, and then just LinkedIn, Cameron Masters. You can find me there.
I'm not as active on social media, but you can send me an email, jeremy@tahoeaccommodations.com.
Wow, so that's old school. Should I send you a fax while we're at it? No, I'm kidding.
I could send you one with our 7.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We even have a check printer.
Oh, wow, you guys are fancy. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys at the next one.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.